All right. Happy Monday. Welcome into Pitchfork Lunch. Yes, I am Michael Caratino at Diablo00 on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. You know it. You love it. We all love it. We all have fun. Let's go. It is Monday. It is Pitchfork Lunch. So glad you're joining me here today. And yes, it was a very interesting weekend in Sun Devil country as hockey and hoops are in full swing. Also, yes, started Friday. Again, huge shout out to women's volleyball, obviously Sweet 16, and yes, the tournament went on. Have results for that in a little bit. But, well, we talked about on Friday, but again, the Devils falling to Stanford in 4, but such a phenomenal season. Again, absolutely love this team. Well, I've always loved ASU volleyball, but hence Pitchfork Lunch. You know, I'm a little bit of a homer, but it's just throughout the years, I mean, just and there are times, there are stretches I didn't get to go as much as I wanted to, but at least, well, and then obviously pandemic year was tough, but even before that, but I was in school there again, many a volleyball, many a nights spent in, well, DFA now, Wells Fargo then, but many a matches spent in there. And throughout the years, again, just getting to go to throughout the years, just getting to go to a lot of matches in general there. So, and going to games, all that good stuff. I'm very excited too. I will just off the note because, well, there's a few Pac-12 players on this team, but the Cowboys dominated the Eagles last night. So, I can't wait to see my friend Eric Wilson tonight, my very good friend, because we each got one victory this year. So they split just like they did last year, but at least both times we did get to see Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott at quarterback, because last year, again, First game, Dak Prescott didn't play. Second game, Jalen Hurts was banged up and couldn't go. This year, they played in both games, and each team got a win. So I can't wait to see Eric tonight on the Sports Arena. Shameless plug, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Again, if you follow me on Twitter, you can check it out. But nonetheless, I digress. Back to Pitchfork Lunch ASU, yes. But yeah, many a night spent watching volleyball in Wells Fargo Desert Financial Arena and matches. And again, always obviously loved volleyball. I do have to give a shout out to Chris Cartman. I forgot to say it on Friday, but big shout out. And yeah, he's just being modest, but whatever. He's like, I don't know much about volleyball, but Marta Levinska looks really good. And yeah, that was his tweet, but I'm going to get him back on here because there's a transfer portal thing. Saw in the description of the show. Just transfer portal thing is went absolutely crazy. Well, not crazy. I mean, it's one of those things where busy for a lot of schools, but ASU landed quite a few that have committed. So I'll get to that. Men's hoops, again, a tough Saturday game at USD. It was a roller coaster of a game. I will tell you that. It was definitely a roller coaster of a game. They were in control. They had a lead. It was shrinking. They extended it. It was even. I got to give a shout out to my guy, my friend Nick. I don't know if you've met my friend Nick, but you're going to get to meet my friend Nick. You're going to get to meet my friend Nick. Coming soon-ish, but during hoop season, you will get to meet my friend Nick. And then when I've asked you if you've met my friend Nick, then you'll know. And yeah, I'm smiling and laughing because there's a lot more behind that, but we're not sharing that. It's not story time for that right now. By the way, shout out to graduates because there's a lot of December graduates. And there is a new all-time high for graduation success rate for student athletes at ASU. So again, yes, forks up, absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely very, very phenomenal. And but yeah, it's so congrats again to all the graduates. I'm obviously the student athletes, but all the graduates that are graduating in December that are now part of the ASU alum family. So forks up. We know you'll aim to do phenomenal things. And yeah, it's an exciting time of year. I remember my graduation just like it was yesterday. And you know what? For the sake of my sanity at times, it was just yesterday. No. But yeah, as we end, obviously, graduations this week. Yes, so congrats to the December grads. Obviously, there'll be quite a few May grads as well. But I digress. Back to hoops. Yeah, they fell to USD 89-84. And if you were able to check it out on Saturday night in San Diego, again, it was a roller coaster of a game. And it was a very roller coaster game. ASU had a 12-point lead at half. I mean, defensively, look, it's been their calling card, and I'll get into more details later, but defensively, definitely rocking it. They were able to hold San Diego to 28 points. They scored 36. But the second half, especially down the stretch, PJ Hayes and Deuce Turner, oh my goodness. Those are two names that I'm sure will frustrate maybe Coach Hurley for a teeny bit. Sorry, but yeah, defensively, I mean, Deuce Turner and PJ Hayes. They were just balling out of their minds. And I'm not saying they're not good players, yet they are good players. I'm not saying it's a one-time thing. These two young men, I'm sure, are obviously going to have very, very, very good seasons for USD, who's now 7-4 overall. In the West Coast Conference. So we'll see. They're going to have to take on that team we all know as Gonzaga and St. Mary's, but getting off to a 7-4 start. Both of those young men had 23 points apiece. They led all scores. And Deuce Turner, real quick, had 23 points, five rebounds, 5 assists. And PJ Hayes had the 23 points as well, 6 rebounds and 1 assist. And both of them each had a steal. So, and they shot 10. They were combined. They were 50% from behind the arc. So, yeah, 61 points given up in the second half by ASU. And ASU scored 48. You figure 36 in the first, 48 in the second, 84 points. The way they've played, yes, it's early in the season, but the way they've been playing defense, and yes, there was the BYU game, but it wasn't, but in general, like this season, the way they've been able to play defense and, challenge shots, hold teams from not shooting, anything great. You look at, USD shot 46.5% from the field for the game. They shot 41.4 from 3-point range. And then I guess they shot 73.3% from the free throw line. But the Devils, they were at 58.3%. They were 14 for 24. They missed 10 free throws. They make 6 more of those, and that's your game. So you did get to the free throw line. 24 attempts for them, 15 for USD. And, Jose Perez, was 5 for 8. Jemiah Neal was 3 for 4. So we'll get into more of it later. But, again, 58.3% for the Devils from the free throw line. And the other two, 47.5 from the field. All right. 41.4 from 3. You'll take that all day. But 61 points in the second half, and they outscored ASU 61 to by 13, 61 to 48. So we'll get more into it, but let you know what the guys did. But yeah, just in being able to watch the game, it's they're right there. And again, it is building the consistency, and Coach Hurley's talked about that. But of getting shots. And definitely got to give a shout out to Bryson Long, because seems to be the team's best 3-point shooter. He came in, hasn't seen a ton of time, but he came in, he was 4 for 4 in field goals, all from behind the arc, and 100% from the free throw line, 3 for 3. So 15 points for Bryson Young in 18 minutes. Jemiah Neal had a heck of a night behind the line too. He was 5 for 8. So he was feeling as well. and then 5 guys were in double figures for the Sun Devils. This is a game that screams victory, and it's not. It's almost. I mean, it borders the snatching snatching defeat from the jaws of victory statement. So I just, yeah, 89, 84. We'll get more into it in a little bit. Also, hockey had I mentioned to you, hockey had their games, first ever meetings against Dartmouth this weekend. And very exciting again here at Mullet Arena. And they have, over the weekend, like I said, playing Dartmouth, which is again absolutely huge. They are 11-3-4 overall, and well, they tied on Friday. It was a 4-4 tie in overtime, but they had a shootout win, and then they tied 1-1 on Saturday, but the Devils were able to get another shootout win. So 11-3-4 overall is their record. They're 10-2-2 at home. They're 1-1-2 away for Coach Powers again. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So they win in the shootout, or they won the shootout, but it goes to ties overall. And and that's what I meant to look at. I'll square that away tomorrow. Not going to dig into it, but we'll dig into the games. Friday night's game, Dartmouth came out just flying. They were up 3-1 after one, and then the Devils held them scoreless in the second, and they scored two, so tied at 3 going into the third. And then they each scored one in the third for the 4-4 draw. The crazy thing is ASU scored first on a power play goal, and then Dartmouth scored the next 3 in the first period. And the Devils were 2 for 2 on the power play. But yeah, so so ASU goal scorer Benji Eckerly scored his first. Matthew Copperud scored his first. Cole Gordon had one, and not his first, but and scored one. And Tyler Gratton scored for the Devils on Friday night. On Saturday night, again, second time around, the defenses usually seem to shine in these games. Both teams were scoreless in the first and the third, and they each got 1 goal in the second period. Brian Chambers scored for the Devils, and Um, but they did go to a shootout, and again, the Devils were able to uh to get both those. But again, they go down as draws, but still 11-3-4. They dropped one spot, but they're number 13 in the country with the ranking. So again, Coach Powers, it's just exciting. And I want to say, hold on, let me make sure. Oh no, these are road games. Yeah, so that was the last time that they are home until after the new year. Because this Saturday they head to Pennsylvania and they're taking on Robert Morris. Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday at 5 and then Sunday at 3 local time. And then just for December 29th, they're at the Adirondack Winter Invitational in Lake Placid, New York. The Adirondack, pardon me. The Adirondack. No. Adirondack, pardon me. Adirondack Winter Invitational. Oh, saw a few different listings. Apologies. That being said, that's the 29th and 30th of this month in Lake Placid, New York. Very awesome. If you could get out there, I suggest, if you're in the area, right? Sun Devil Nation. And then but then they return home Friday, January 5th, as they take on Harvard, part of the Desert Hockey Classic. And then they will take on that's on Friday the 5th, and then on the 6th, on Friday the 5th, well, the four teams that are going to be here, I mean, obviously the Sun Devils, but UMass Lowell and Omaha along with Harvard. So Friday, UMass Lowell will take on Omaha at 3:30 on January 5th local time. Again, just get it on your calendars. I'll mention it again, as you know, but early stuff to get on your calendars. And then at 7 p.m., they will take on Harvard. ASU will take on Harvard. And then January 6th, Harvard at 3:30, Harvard will take on UMass Lowell or Omaha. And then again at 7 p.m., ASU will take on UMass Lowell or Omaha. So depends for the first day, but that is the Desert Hockey Classic. And that is January 5th and 6th. Then January 12th and 13th, they host Cornell. And then January 19th and 20th, they host Augustana from South Dakota. And then that's January. So, and then they got a teeny bit of a reprieve, and then they'll play again in February. But just want to give you a heads up. But yes, so they are headed to Robert Morris again this weekend, and then the Adirondack Winter Invitational in Lake Placid, New York, for 2 games there on the 29th and 30th. So very excited, but again, phenomenal record. So yeah, it's very very excited what Coach Powers and staff and the team are doing. And yes, you still have a chance to get out there. So don't miss out. Don't miss out is all I can say. And then and then on the women's side, though, the hoops team played Grand Canyon, as you recall. Remember us talking about it when I wrapped up Friday? They fell to Grand Canyon. They are now 7-3, first home loss, but 5-1 at home still. Again, very, very solid. But Grand Canyon was able to hold on for the 66-59 victory. I mean, the third quarter was kind of what it was definitely what did ASU in. And I'll get into much more detail the game in a little bit, but yeah, Grand Canyon was up 19-17 after one. They went into the locker room tied because the second quarter ASU held the Grand Canyon to 10 points, but they scored 12, so 29 all at half. But then 17-7, ASU's third quarter, man, just that was a difference because they came out in the fourth quarter, outscored Grand Canyon 23-20. But that again, that third quarter, just very, very tough for the Devils. But another huge, solid game by Jaden Simmons. Pardon me. Jaden Simmons had 20 points, 3 rebounds, 5 steals. Friday afternoon, Trayana Crisp had 18 points, 1 rebound, 5 assists, 1 rebound, and 3 steals. And then Jaylen Brown, 16 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound. So you got 3 players in double figures right there. Again, just that tough third quarter for the Devils shooting, but we'll get into it. But I'm going to step aside real quick. When I get back, again, we're going to jump into the transfer portal. Talked about it football wise, and again, coaches are hot on the trail. Let me tell you, and all coaching staffs. I mean, from across the country, and yeah, if you're getting ready for bowl games and stuff like that. Going to talk bowl matchups tomorrow, actually, because a lot of them came out we know what obviously the college football playoff is, which again, very annoying to me because Florida State should be there over Alabama. Have no problem with Texas being there, but yeah, the SEC champ didn't need to be there. And the words from whatever the commissioners, coaches, they're all going to lobby. Again, you're at a conference schedule and everybody does it, but Washington goes undefeated. Michigan is undefeated. They're 1-2. But did anybody not see Florida State play defense all year? Those guys are just going to forget how to play defense because if they're number 4 and Michigan's playing them, I mean, Iowa, even though it was 26-0, but people thought, Michigan probably win, 40-7, 45-7, 55. Look, Iowa's even good. You ain't going to, as much as they can't play offense, and I love defense, and I'm not saying no if Iowa would have won because think about this. If Iowa would have beat Michigan, not that it happened, but if Iowa would have beat Michigan, we're going to put Iowa in. So Alabama beats Georgia. Georgia doesn't go in. Florida State doesn't get in because it's a lifetime achievement. You have to have the SEC in. A 4th and goal on the 31. You struggled against an Auburn team that, let's face it, was barely average. But you deserve to be there. So I really great. They get the extra practice. Yes, Nick Saban have prepared. Man, I hope Michigan's defense. I can't wait for Michigan's defense to punch them in the mouth and constantly punch them in the mouth because this is a defense that has done it all year and an offense that can chew up the clock. So it reminds me of when Ohio State shouldn't have been there and Penn State won the Big Ten, and then Ohio State couldn't even score on Clemson. So I'm not saying Alabama doesn't score. Saying I'm looking forward to that. But we'll go over bowls tomorrow. But yeah, I'm going to step aside when we get back. We will talk transfer portal because man, it has been absolutely huge so far. Coach Dillingham, the staff, they have been very, very busy, and I will let you know who so far from the transfer portal who has committed they had some guys in their sights and they have committed. So very, very awesome to see that. So but yeah, I'll step aside. More coming up here on Pitchfork Lunch. Don't go too far. All right, back here on Pitchfork Lunch. I am Michael Caratino at Diablo00 on X, artist formerly known as Twitter, where you can check out the show on Facebook. And yes, I did forget to mention in the beginning, but Pitchfork Lunch, which you knew was coming on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat, 005 on YouTube, at MVC005 on YouTube. Why? Because there's been a ton of interviews that you have missed. Coaches, players, insiders, voices, just again, a ton that you have missed. And it's all there on the YouTube channel. So go subscribe, like the show, share the shows, view away. As we get as again, you've missed it, but you can subscribe away, you can check out the shows, and again, you'll be in the know. And got more coaches again coming up soon. We'll have more players as well. So as we again stretch into this period of games still being played, got to match up schedules, all that good stuff. But if you subscribe to it again, and you can add it to, a binge watch list, catch up over the holidays, a few episodes here, a few episodes there. Again, we've had JJ Van Neal on, who again sent him obviously his coaching, his very had a very talented team, but just a coach again that knows what's successful, gets Pac-12 Coach of the Year, and is was a Southwest Region Coach of the Year, well deserved. But he was the first coach to come on. Coach Van Neal had him on. Graham Winkworth from women's soccer had him on. Again, a very solid season for the ladies who went to the tournament. Again, just the way they played, very excited for, again, the future. And so very excited for the future. But yes, had Coach Van Neal on and Coach Winkworth. Like I said, soccer, excited for that future. We've had Willie Bloomquist, the men's baseball coach. Natasha Adair, women's basketball coach, has been on. Willie Bloomquist, baseball, he has been on. Jason Mons, the tight ends coach, and working to again, he's busy on the recruiting trail, but looking to having him on again soon. Charlie Regal, the assistant head coach, special teams coordinator for Sun Devil football, he's been on. Also efforting on getting Coach Iguano on. But you see what I'm getting at. So yes, subscribe to the YouTube channel at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 at MVC005. Subscribe. All right, let's hit the transfer portal, because it has been it opened up last Monday, and it officially, players enter it, but obviously coaches scouring, seeing who's entering it. Players, all over social media, which coaches and programs are monitoring, because why would you not, to get a head start on what you want to do? But it's one of those things where in this last week that it opened up, and ASU even breaking there was one this morning, and I saw quarterback Sam Levitt from Michigan State, who had played in 4 games, so he has his red shirt. He's a 4-star quarterback in the 2023 class, and he is headed to ASU. There's been, but Sam Levitt is the earliest, and then defensive lineman JP Dieter from Purdue. has committed to ASU. Jordan Crook. Oh, Jordan Crook from Arkansas. He's a linebacker, a defensive back. Javon Robinson from Washington State has committed to ASU. Um, Again, no surprise with Coach Ward here and Coach Cooper. He entered the transfer portal, but Robinson from Washington State. Tight end Cameron Harpool from San Diego State also committed. Another tight end, Marcuston Douglas from Florida State, committed to LSU. And defensive back Laterance Welch from LSU committed. And Justin Woodley from Cincinnati, defensive end. So I know we didn't see an offensive lineman, as Coach Dillingham said, on that list, but those are just the recent commits from the portal. So, get a quarterback, 2 defensive linemen, 2 tight ends, and oh no, wait. Yeah, so 1 quarterback, 2 defensive linemen, pardon me, 2 tight ends, 2 DBs, and 1 linebacker. So again, and spots need to be filled. I mean, guys transferred. Obviously, defensive back wise, Jordan Clark, is now at Notre Dame. Xavier Alford, he didn't get his waiver last year, but he will be playing this year. So it's almost like, landing him for. I know it sounds weird, but landing him for the second time. So he's back. Obviously, Chris Edmonds and Roe Torrance headed to the NFL draft, which again, can't wait to see where those two land. Because again, just like I said, Roe Torrance in his 2 years, again, we saw it was just a long athletic corner, which again, I know defensive coordinators, defensive backs coaches, you see the talent, and he is definitely one that if you ever need an emergency throw on a trick play, I got you, Roe. Hey, I lobbied for you, Roe. From spring ball last year and even into even into the main event battles. But I was lobbying for you maybe to get to throw 1 pass because I know you got it in you. So, but yeah, no, him and Chris Edmonds again going to the NFL draft. Jordan Clark transferring. So, to get some defensive backs in, huge. 2 more tight ends and Jaden Fortier, the kid out of Oregon, tight end commit who had a phenomenal high school career with senior season, stuff like that. So yeah, that's very, very stoked about that. But yeah, I mean, you look at but yeah, I mean, Sam Levitt to leave Michigan State, obviously, yes, there was a ton of institutional football program problems there. So it kind of, it doesn't surprise me he would enter the portal. But for him to come in and him being in the same class as Jaden Rashada, I haven't seen anything out of Jaden Rashada. So, and I mean, from Chris Cartman, as he was reporting the, Sam Levitt transferring to ASU, also put out, he was saying that obviously the quarterback situation is getting very interesting. Levitt and Rashada, like I said, we're in the same class, same eligibility. NCAA rules prevent a second transfer without a sit-out season. So Levitt is, betting he will win the job. Rashada knew ASU would take a transfer. I mean, Drew Pine entered the transfer portal as well. Trenton Bourget staying. Um, but he said Rashad knew ASU would take a transfer, and he has not yet bolted. So, look, talking to Jaden Rashada, and again, he's going to have to weigh in and do what's best for him. But I mean, he's a competitor, and I mean, as a true freshman last year, I mean, Coach Dillingham, he put in the work and the improvement. You saw the growth. I mean, literally from the spring, but through fall camp, his first two starts, and then obviously playing against Arizona after being out, and you know he competed for the job and he can win it. And now, I mean, it'll be a second year in, you know, obviously a second year in Coach Dillingham's offense, and not being able to do all you want to do. Yes, we saw the swinging gate. We saw the Hellcat offense with Scattaboo and even Jalen Conyers, who is in the transfer portal as well. But knock on wood, you stay healthy and you can do things. I mean, look, it'll be an interesting battle, and I think Levitt would obviously, if Rashada won the job, is one thing. But if they go into spring, I think Rashada, can definitely play it right. You go into the spring and when they, talk after spring and see how it's going. I mean, maybe if Rashad, but he's, to me, like I said, I don't see him, and like Chris said, it's not yet bolted. I don't think that he would just turn away from that. And not just because his dad's an alum and seeing his dad out of practice, and they got to have a few cool, just talking to him and passing. But I mean, he's a competitor, and like last year is, a true freshman, everything that obviously everybody, all the stuff that happened in Florida. But, Coach Dillingham said, you'll learn. And then Drew Pine, it looked like, may have been ahead in the competition, but then Drew Pine got, banged up, and Rashada was named the starter, and he started the first two games. And, I mean, again, you see as a freshman at certain things. So, but we'll see what Sam Levitt does. I mean, he's coming to Tempe, and Coach Dillingham again is not going to promise anybody they can start. Are they going to compete to do it? If you listen to Coach Dillingham and you hear Coach Dillingham, that is not part of his recruiting ploy. Oops, excuse me. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Apologies. But that's not part of Coach Dillingham's recruiting ploy. But for the guys that came in, I mean, JP Dieter from Purdue, defensively, and then Justin Woodley from Cincinnati. I mean, and Laterance Welch, who's a defensive back from LSU. I mean, Ro Torrance came from Auburn, and we saw what he did in the 2 years he was here and how he grew. And I mean, already obviously the talent, but just how, again, like, yeah, his game and everything grew, and what they asked of him and what he, was able to do. So it'll be very interesting to me. But yeah, I think that and then even, Javon Robinson out of Wazoo. Granted, he's a year removed from working, with Coach Ward, but I mean, obviously the comfort had to be there. And like I said, the coaches, like Coach Dillingham said after is, they're gonna hit the road. And again, it had to be at an insane rate last year, obviously, when he got hired in December, because you are behind the eight ball. But just, and I've said it a million times, but because it was remarkable to have a spring ball to where you could have a competitive spring ball, and transfers that came in. Yes, guys that left, but guys that had stayed, transfers that came in, guys that had graduated early and come on campus. So it's like it was you were able to do stuff in spring, and then in the beginning of fall camp, and then yes, after after during the early part of the season, first, second, third game, the injuries just started to fall like dominoes, which was unfortunate. But the pace they came in recruiting last year, knowing and the pace that, obviously after the season they hit the trail. But like I said, Levitt was today, and like I said, JP Dieter from Purdue, and I saw his yesterday, and Justin Woodley's. But like I said, Latterance Welch, Marcuston Douglas, the tight end, Cameron Harpool, the other tight end, and Javen Robinson from Wazoo, Jordan Crook from Arkansas. So look, they identified guys that yes have played, yes have experience, can fit if they from their tape and they're watching, and the coaches again knowing this, like, can it fit the scheme? Will it be? Is it a good fit? Is our scheme a good fit for them? So these guys that they brought in so far, yeah, and I mean the tight ends. Obviously, Coach Mons, what he did last year, and again, we're efforting. We'll talk to Coach Mons next week, as he is hot on the recruiting trail right now as well. So, like I said, Coach Iguano's got a graduation. His son graduating from ASU today, so that is very awesome. Again, with senior kids graduate college, so very stoked for Coach Iguano and the family. But yeah, so it's but yeah, I mean, it was over the weekend, last weekend. There's a recruiting picture, but they were talking about the commits or recruits that have been here. And the number 71 offensive lineman, Filivas Saluni, he committed, offensive lineman. The number 2 running back, not the number. He was wearing the number 71, but running back Jason Brown committed. Tight end Jaden Fortier said firms up pledge on a visit, and it looks like Fortier will be favored to be signing with ASU. And then offensive lineman Rustin Young considering ASU, and then offensive lineman Champs Westbrooks committed, and defensive end Salesi Manu, ASU is in his final 2. So, and that was last weekend. So yeah, I mean, it's from that standpoint, again, looking really good, really, really good, for ASU. But like I said, like Justin Whitley, the defensive lineman, I mean, he's from Cleveland, went to Cincinnati, and then yeah, I mean, he felt very comfortable at ASU. So the coaching staff expressed how much they wanted him. He said the coaching staff that shows that much love, and a city that shows that much love, that's not really too many things that you have to see after that. So, Woodley was part of that Cincinnati team that was that went to the college football playoff, and they had a 3-9 season last year. Jordan Ham reporting that. Saw that he Woodley reposted it, but yeah, so it's like I said, the transfer portal is very exciting. You can definitely again, like I said, we'll get more and more into it, and like I said, looking to have Coach Iguano on later this week, and again, he can talk about obviously just the madness that is the portal, on top of the madness in general that is just recruiting, especially in this day and age. But he's again, can't wait to catch up with him. And like I said, we'll catch up with Coach Mons as well. Coach Ward, got to catch up with him too, because we crosswired. The schedule will match up at some point. No, they're very busy, and rightfully so. I want them to do very well on the trail. So we're going to step aside. We're going to get back. We're going to talk some hoops and some hockey on the other side to wrap up the show. So don't go too far. You are watching Pitchfork Lunch. So glad you can join me. And yeah, little hoops talk on the other side here on Pitchfork Lunch. Oh, yes. Welcome back to Pitchfork Lunch. I love showing that. And I was talking about transfer portal. Got him last year, Cam Scattaboo, and phenomenal. And I mean, I kid around, but all kidding aside, the punt, pass, and kick champ from the team. I mean, the Hellcat quarterback. When he's at running back, what he did in the passing game, and man, just stepped up his game, and just again, always great to talk to. And look forward to obviously having him back next season too. So, and Carlos Brooks is, again, this team staying healthy, but anyway, I digress. We'll get into more of that as the offseason goes on, but, men's hoops against USD on Saturday. And man, it was one of those things where, like I said, 89-84 was the final. ASU gave up 61 points in the second half. Yeah, they were up 36-28, figuring, all right, that's good, but you got to play a second half. And Coach Hurley, believe me, he knows that. He says that all the time. And his teams, outside of, teams will have runs in a game. Teams will have, your team might go on a little bit of a cold spell, but then you turn it around. 28 points, but they give up 61 in the second half. Again, hats off to USC. Like I said, I mean, Deuce Turner, 23 points. PJ Hayes, 23 points. And they were, I mean, again, it's just they shot combined 50% from the 3-point line. Turner was 5 for 8, and then Hayes was 5 for 12. They were 12 for 29 as a team. Those two guys were 10 for 20. And free throws, Turner didn't take any, but Hayes was 6 for 7. And again, it's a team. They shot 73.3% from the free throw line. Okay, at home, you'll take that. But ASU, again, 58.3%, missed 10 free throws. Getting the 24, I mean, phenomenal. Again, forcing the issue as Jose Perez, part of his game. I mean, he had 8 attempts. Bryson Long, like I said, he was 3 for 3. Jemiah Neal was 3 for 4. Frankie Collins was 2 for 4. Bryant Celebonge was 1 for 2. Brian Celebonge was 1 for 2. Braylon Green, though, missed all 3 of his. He was 0 for 3. So, again, missing those 10 attempts, like I said, if you hit. Yeah, and again, I'm not saying anybody's shooting 100% from the line as a team for a game, but, you bump the 58.3% up to, say, 75%. There's your game, but again, they were hitting shots. Was USD. I mean, there was a few wacky plays. There was one on an inbounds where Jose Perez was guarding the inbounder and started to turn, and the inbounder literally bounced it off his back and, did that trick, laid it in for the Toreros of USD. But yeah, when you look, again, 5 guys in double figures. I mean, Jemiah Neal led the Devils with 20. Both Perez and Collins had 15 points each. Alonzo Gaffney had 11. Bryson Long, like I said, he was perfect he was perfect from everything. 4 for 4 from the field, all from behind the arc. So 4 for 4 from the 3-point line, 3 for 3 from the free throw line. And then Braylon Green had 3 points. But again, missed all 3 of his free throws. You look at 3-pointers, 12 for 29, 41.4%. But I mean, Alonzo Gaffney, 1 for 8. Frankie Collins was 1 for 5. Jemiah Neal, again, 5 for 8. Bryson Long, 4 for 4. Braylon Green was 1 for 1. But man, that's just tough. Again, especially in the second half, if you're, and coach talks about obviously getting those possessions, and they do create more possessions with their defense. I mean, again, guys like, Gaffney in the press, like Jose Perez talked about, if you've been out and you've seen it, like him in the front of that press with that reach, guarding the inbounder, trapping, the first guy, it can very easily create turnovers. So you love that. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to stomach a game like that because you're up most of the time. I mean, you're up by 12 and, it was biggest lead, but kept it to 12, Fleur with, I think, 14 at one point, but not up by 8. They were up by 8 at half. But they got the lead up to 12. Yeah, they were up by 8 at half, got outscored by 13 in the second half. And I mean, but if you put up 48 in the second half, you're feeling good. It's just, look, anybody can do it. ASU's not a team, especially in Bobby Hurley's time here, even in the beginning defensively, like you don't think they're giving up 61 points in a half. Like it just, so yeah, I mean, you watch the film, you shake it off, but you get to the free throw line. And again, shot selection too. I mean, coach, talks about it. Are you getting shots within the flow of the game? You look at it like, is it a good basketball play? And it is cliche, you hear it, but that's one of the things, Coach Hurley, talks about. Well, I mean, definitely talks about a lot, but yeah, I mean, Jemiah Neal, again, a heck of a game, 20 points, 6 boards. Him and Frankie Collins, top 2 in rebounding again. Frankie Collins, 15 points, but 9 boards. Just crashing the glass like coach has talked about, like he needs him to. 9 boards, 5 assists, and 2 more steals. But both Perez and Jemima, I mean, look at that. I mean, you have the steals. You have 13 steals for the game. And, um, 13 steals, 13 of the 14 turnovers Toros had were steals by ASU. So everything points to a very solid game overall. Like I said, free throw shooting, and again, maybe some shot selections on the 3-pointers. It's just man. But like I said, it's not even look, Pitchfork Lunchers, it's not even a home review. You got to be excited for this team because, again, just how they can play defense. Guys like Collins, Perez getting to the hoop. And we know Frankie Collins can get to the hoop. Obviously, Perez shown, what he can do. So, look, it's a tough one, but this is also the kind of game that builds, more of a drive and to folk to own in on things. And not that they weren't, but I'm just saying as a player, as a competitor, I know how I would be frustrated and completely annoyed. So, but yeah, and the men have the men's next game is in Dallas on Saturday, in Fort Worth, Texas. They take on TCU, again, who they saw in the tournament. And it'll be some, obviously both teams have some, new parts, new shiny parts, as I like to say. But they will take on TCU on Saturday. So they will head to Fort Worth, and they will head to Fort Worth. And then on Wednesday, December 20th, they will be taking on Northwestern, part of the Jerry Colangelo Hall of Fame series. That's at 6:30 p.m. That's going to be at the Footprint Center. Northwestern is in town. And then 9 days later, they start conference play on the road in Northern California at Stanford. And then at Cal, Friday the 29th and Sunday, New Year's Eve. They got a 6 p.m. game. So chances are 6 p.m., 5 o'clock in California, but chances are they'll land back here right before the new year. So, yeah. But that's what the Devils have coming up on the men's side. On the women's side, like I said, real quick, they fell to Grand Canyon 66-59 on Friday. And man, it's just a 20-point game from Jaden Simmons, 18 from Treyana Chris, 16 from Jalen Brown. And that was, again, the majority of their scoring were but yeah, I mean, and it's a team that they shot 75% from the free throw line, 6 for 8 at home. You like that? I mean, they only had 8 attempts. Grand Canyon, though, 20 times they went to the free throw line. They were 18 for 20. So, I mean, that's one thing, kind of a balance. And again, people say, well, just because you're home, you just get more calls. No, but I mean, I think you would, try and force the issue more. But yeah, they still shot 6 for 8. Grand Canyon shot 90%. I mean, look at that. They were 18 for 20. So, I mean, that's a huge difference here. The third quarter, like I said, 17-7. It was tied at 29 at half. And then Grand Canyon outscored ASU 17-7 in the third. I'm guessing Coach Natasha Adair was not too thrilled about that one. But then you turn around the fourth quarter, look at that, 23-20. So, yeah, they had a 10-point lead after the third quarter. It was 46-36. And then, yeah, ASU, I mean, 23-20, 66-59, just, again, not enough in the end. But, I mean, when you look at ASU, I mean, they shot 43.4% from the field. I mean, 53% from behind the arc. I mean, they were 7 for 13 from behind the arc. Can definitely take that. I mean, Triana Crisp, 4 for 7. Jaden Simmons, 1. I mean, she only took 1, but she made it. And then Jaylen Brown was 2 for 5. So, yeah, they took between those three. I mean, 7 for 13, 58. What did I say? 53.8%, 75% from the line. I mean, it's just, one not so good quarter. Or same as in the men's game, one like sporadic, not so good part of a half. And that can do you in. But look, I mean, this team headed in the right direction. I mean, Maggie Besselink didn't take any shots, but she did have 4 rebounds and 1 assist. But yeah, she played, 21 minutes. She's been about that 20-minute mark. I mean, Jaden Simmons, again, 38 minutes. Both Triana Crisp and Jaylen Brown played 40. Journey Thompson at 20, and then Maggie Besselink played 21. Khadijah Toure played 28 minutes. Struggled from the field. I mean, 0 for 6. She was 1 for 2 from the free throw line, but did have 8 rebounds. So, again, getting in there, getting some boards, contribute. And, I mean, they did get out rebounded ASU 32-26, but yeah, I mean, it's just the third quarter. I mean, it's like I said, it's literally an even game at halftime, and you have a little bit of an advantage in the fourth. It's just that third quarter. And Coach Adair, I mean, has talked about that even last season. I mean, you have that one bad quarter, and that's that. So, but hey, that is that. I'm going to get out of here. Again, thank you so much for jumping into Pitchfork Lunch today. If you're just joining and you missed it, again, don't worry, you got you covered. You can see it here on X, as if you follow me at Diablo00 on X, artist formerly known as Twitter, shows up there, Facebook, and my YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, shows are there. You've missed interviews. You've missed a ton of guests, different shows. You can binge watch it. It is all there for you to watch. Go to YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel. It's at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005, at MVC005. Subscribe. I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully with a surprise guest. But again, we got to see what things work out. So I'm going to get out of here. You have a most wonderful rest of your Monday. Enjoy Monday Night Football doubleheader. And if you see an Eagles fan, just let them know me as a Cowboys fan, I'm giving them, a supportive hug because I know they had no offensive touchdowns last night. Got to get it out before the sports arena tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern. Again, follow me on X at Diablo00, and you can check that out too and see how happy Eric Wilson is. I love you, Eric. But all right, I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a great rest of your Monday. And yes, fans, you know it. As always, forks up.
Terry's three. Johnny Walker matching up against control. His shot. Bruce score. They score. They tie the game up 2-2. Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Thea Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds.